The phone rings 11 times before the customer hangs up. 11 rings. The system counts them. The telephony platform, the automated call distribution system that routes incoming calls to the next available agent, and that measures the rings and the hold time and the abandonment rate and the average handle time and the after-call work time and the 57 other metrics that the insurance industry tracks to determine whether a claims department is functioning or whether a claims department is drowning. 11 rings is not functioning. 11 rings is drowning. 11 rings is the sound that a customer hears when the claims department is understaffed and the hold queue is full and the agents are on calls and the calls are long because the claims are complicated and the complications are medical and the medical details require time. And the time extends the call, and the extended call prevents the next call from being answered, and the next call rings 11 times, and the customer hangs up, and the customer's claim, the reason for the call, the medical bill, the surgery, the accident, the thing that happened to the customer's body or property or life, the claim waits. The claim always waits. This is the architecture of insurance. The claim waits because the system is designed for the claim to wait, not maliciously, but structurally, the way a highway is designed for traffic to move, but produces traffic jams when the volume exceeds the capacity. The volume always exceeds the capacity. The volume is the number of people whose lives have been disrupted by an event covered by a policy, and the capacity is the number of agents available to process the disruption, and the number of disrupted lives always exceeds the number of agents, because hiring agents costs money and claims cost money, and the money that pays the agents reduces the money available to pay the claims, and the money available to pay the claims is the money that the company exists to protect. And the protection of the money is the reason the agents are understaffed, and the understaffing is the reason the phone rings 11 times. The woman whose call just abandoned, the woman who waited through 11 rings and then hung up, has a claim for a knee replacement. The knee replacement was performed 6 weeks ago. The surgery cost $47,000. The policy covers the surgery. The pre-authorization was approved. The surgery was performed. The claim was submitted. The claim was denied. The denial was for a coding error. The surgeon's office submitted the procedure under CPT code 27447, and the policy requires CPT code 27446 for a partial knee replacement, and the difference between 27447 and 27446 is the difference between a total replacement and a partial replacement, and the difference between approved and denied, and the difference between a covered procedure and a $47,000 bill, and the woman called to ask why. And the phone rang 11 times, and the woman hung up, and the claim waits. The CEO's name is Stellan Cope. He is 54 years old. He is the CEO of Fidelitas Health Insurance, a regional health insurance company headquartered in Richmond, Virginia, that provides health insurance to 620,000 members across Virginia, Maryland, and the District of Columbia. Fidelitas employs 3,100 people. Fidelitas processes approximately 4.2 million claims per year. Fidelitas generates $2.8 billion in annual revenue. Fidelitas has a claims denial rate of 18.3%, meaning that of every 100 claims submitted by doctors and hospitals and patients, approximately 18 are denied. 18 out of 100. The national average is 16.6%. Fidelitas is 1.7 points above the national average. The 1.7 points represent approximately 71,400 additional denied claims per year. 71,400 people whose claims were denied by Fidelitas that would not have been denied by the average insurer. 71,400 phone calls that ring 11 times. Stellan's mother, Georgiana, was a school nurse. She was a school nurse in Henrico County for 28 years, the nurse who sat in the small office beside the main office and who treated the scraped knees and the stomach aches and the headaches and the anxiety attacks that children bring to the nurse's office, because the nurse's office is the place in a school where a child can say, "I don't feel well," and be believed. Georgiana believed every child. Georgiana's philosophy, the philosophy that she articulated to Stellan when he was 7 years old and that Stellan has carried for 47 years, was, "The person in front of you is not a chart. The person in front of you is a person. The chart is what you write after you've listened to the person." Georgiana retired at 61. The retirement was not voluntary. The retirement was the result of a claim, Georgiana's claim. Georgiana needed a hip replacement. The hip had deteriorated, the cartilage worn, the bone-on-bone friction that produces the pain, that produces the limp, that produces the inability to stand for 8 hours in a school nurse's office. The hip replacement was covered by her insurance. The hip replacement was pre-authorized. The hip replacement was performed. The claim was submitted. The claim was denied. The denial was for insufficient documentation of medical necessity, the phrase that insurance companies use when the documentation exists, but the documentation does not match the specific format that the specific insurer requires, and the specific format is a moving target that changes with policy updates and that the surgeon's office did not track, and that the surgeon's office submitted in the previous format, and the previous format was denied, and the denial required an appeal, and the appeal took 4 months, and the 4 months were 4 months of pain, because the physical therapy that follows a hip replacement was also denied pending the appeal. And the physical therapy delay meant the hip healed improperly, and the improper healing meant a revision surgery. And the revision surgery required a new claim, and the new claim required a new pre-authorization, and the new pre-authorization required documentation in the current format. Georgiana's hip cost $112,000 across 2 surgeries. The insurance eventually paid. Georgiana's career cost her the 2 years between the first denial and the final resolution. 2 years of pain, 2 years of limited mobility, 2 years that converted a voluntary retirement into a forced one. The insurance paid the bill. The insurance did not pay for the 2 years. Stellan built Fidelitas thinking about the hip. He built the company on the premise that health insurance should process claims the way a school nurse processes a child. Listen first, document second, deny last. The premise was good. The company grew. The company hired claims agents and built systems and wrote policies, and the policies were reviewed by actuaries, and the actuaries introduced denial thresholds, and the denial thresholds were managed by algorithms, and the algorithms were optimized by consultants, and the consultants were measured by metrics, and the metrics rewarded efficiency, and the efficiency was defined as cost reduction. And the cost reduction was achieved by denying claims, and the denying of claims was the thing that Stellan built the company to prevent, and the thing that the company now did 71,400 more times per year than the industry average. The J.D. Power survey arrived 3 months ago. Member satisfaction. Fidelitas ranked 147th out of 152 regional health insurers. The complaints contained a theme that appeared with the regularity of a diagnosis. Denied. The word denied appeared in 73% of negative reviews. The word denied was followed in 41% of cases by the phrase without explanation. Denied without explanation. The 3 words that describe a system that has lost the ability to communicate with the people it serves. The system that denies and does not explain because the explanation requires an agent, and the agent is on another call, and the call is long, and the phone rings 11 times. Work the phones, said Nadia Ferenczi, the chief claims officer, a woman who had started at Fidelitas as a claims processor 16 years ago, and who had risen through the ranks the way people rise through insurance companies, by understanding both the policy language and the human language, and by knowing that the policy language is what the company speaks, and the human language is what the customer hears, and the distance between the 2 languages is the distance between a denied claim and a devastated family. Work the phones. Don't sit in the supervisor booth. Sit in a cubicle, wear a headset, answer the calls, process the claims, deny the claims, see what denied looks like from the other side of the phone. Tell us in the comments where you're watching from today, because this is the story of a CEO who answered phones at his own insurance company, and the claim that one agent denied changed every denial in his system. Monday, 7:45 a.m. The Fidelitas Claims Center is on Broad Street in downtown Richmond. the fourth floor of a building that was once a department store and that has been converted into office space and that retains the high ceilings and the wide floor plates of retail architecture, the open expanse of a space that was designed for shopping and that now contains 340 cubicles arranged in rows, the rows producing the visual effect of a warehouse, the specific, undeniable appearance of a room that contains too many people in too little space, doing too much work for too little recognition. The cubicles are 5 feet by 5 feet, 25 square feet. The average American prison cell is 48 square feet. The claims agent's cubicle is 25 square feet, roughly half the size of a prison cell, with the addition of a computer and a headset and a phone and the absence of a door, which means the cubicle provides neither the privacy of a cell nor the openness of a room, but the specific intermediate condition of being enclosed without being private, the condition of a person who can hear every adjacent conversation and whose adjacent conversation can be heard by every neighboring agent, and the cumulative sound of 340 agents on 340 phones processing 340 simultaneous claims is the white noise of an insurance company, the ambient sound of denial and approval and denial and hold and denial and transfer and denial. Stellan's badge says, Simon Darby, Claims Agent I, Medical. The cover, a new hire completing the first week of live calls after training. Only Nadia and the floor supervisor know. The training was real. Stellan completed the 2-week Fidelitas claims training, the same training every new agent completes, the training that teaches the policy language and the system navigation and the denial codes and the appeal procedures and the HIPAA compliance and the call scripts. The call scripts are the language, the approved sentences that the agent speaks to the customer, the sentences that communicate the claim decision in the language that the legal department has approved and that the compliance department has reviewed and that the customer experiences as the voice of a machine, because the sentences are not human sentences, they are institutional sentences, the sentences of a company talking to a person in the language of a company. He is assigned to the desk beside Colette Varnham. She is 31 years old. She has been a claims agent at Fidelitas for 4 years. She processes an average of 47 claims per shift, 47 decisions per day, 47 moments in which a human being reads a medical record and a policy document and determines whether the medical event that happened to a real person is covered by the contract that the real person purchased and that the real person believed would protect them, and that the claims agent must evaluate against the policy language that the actuary wrote and that the algorithm scored and that the denial threshold determined. Colette is fast. Colette is the fastest agent on the floor, 47 claims per shift when the average is 34. She is fast because she has memorized the denial codes. She has memorized the 847 denial codes that Fidelitas uses to communicate claim decisions, the taxonomy of no, the categorical system that converts a medical event into an alphanumeric code that the system processes and that the explanation of benefits prints and that the customer receives in the mail and that the customer reads and does not understand, because the code is not designed to be understood by the customer. The code is designed to be processed by the system, and the system and the customer are not the same audience. Colette did not plan to be a claims agent. Colette planned to be a nurse, the career path that begins with the pre-nursing program at the community college, and that continues with the BSN at the university, and that ends with the license and the scrubs and the patients and the care. Colette completed the pre-nursing program. Colette was accepted to the BSN program at Virginia Commonwealth. Colette could not afford the BSN program. The tuition gap, the distance between the financial aid and the tuition, was $8,400 per year. The gap was the size of a career. The gap was the distance between Colette the nurse and Colette the claims agent. She took the Fidelitas job because the Fidelitas job was available, and the Fidelitas job paid immediately. And the immediately was what her budget required, and the BSN program would have to wait, and the waiting has lasted 4 years, and the 4 years have converted the temporary into the permanent, the way all temporary things become permanent when the temporary thing pays the rent, and the rent is due every month. She knows more about medicine than most claims agents, the pre-nursing anatomy, the pharmacology, the pathophysiology, the clinical language that the doctor writes in the medical record and that Colette can read, and that most agents cannot read, and that Colette's reading produces the speed, the 47 claims per day that the metric rewards, and that the metric does not know is possible because Colette nearly became a nurse. The nursing knowledge accelerates the claims processing. The claims processing prevents the nursing career. The career that Colette trained for is the reason she is good at the career she didn't choose. Fax, 47 claims, she says. That's my number. That's what the performance metric requires for an exceeds expectations rating. Meets expectations is 34. Below expectations is under 28. I process 47 because 47 is the number that produces the quarterly bonus, and the quarterly bonus is $380. And the $380 is the difference between my budget working and my budget not working. And the budget not working means the rent is late, and the rent late means the late fee, and the late fee is $75, and the $75 is the cost of processing fewer than 47 claims per day. How fast do you review each claim? Average handle time is 10 minutes and 40 seconds. That includes reading the claim, reviewing the medical records, checking the policy, applying the denial criteria, making the decision, documenting the decision, coding the decision, and if it's a denial, generating the explanation of benefits. 10 minutes and 40 seconds. For a decision that determines whether a person gets a surgery or doesn't, whether a person gets physical therapy or doesn't, whether a person's medical debt is $0 or $47,000, 10 minutes and 40 seconds. If this story has touched your heart, take a moment to share it and subscribe to Untold Hearts, because sometimes the person who denies your claim is doing the math on her own budget. Day 2. The call. Stellan takes calls. He takes calls the way every new agent takes calls, with the headset on and the script open and the system logged in, and the fear that the next call will be the call that the training did not prepare him for, the call that requires not the policy language, but the human language, the call where the customer is not a claim number but a person, and the person is not asking about a code, but asking about a life. The calls are a specific kind of labor, emotional labor, the labor of absorbing another person's distress and converting it into an institutional response. The customer calls because something happened, a car accident, a diagnosis, a surgery, a hospitalization, a bill, and the something that happened is the worst thing that has happened to the customer recently. And the customer is calling the insurance company because the insurance company is supposed to help. And the insurance company is the claims agent, and the claims agent is Stellan. And Stellan must absorb the customer's fear and anger and confusion and convert it into a claim decision in 10 minutes and 40 seconds. The first call is a denied prescription. The member's cardiologist prescribed a blood thinner, brand name $387 per month. The formulary, the list of drugs that the insurance covers, offers a generic alternative at $22 per month. The brand name drug was denied under formulary exclusion. The member's cardiologist specified the brand name because the member had an adverse reaction to the generic, nausea, dizziness, the side effects that the generic produces in approximately 4% of patients, and that the formulary does not account for because the formulary is a list, not a physician, and the list says generic available, and the physician says generic failed, and the list wins because the list is the policy and the policy is the contract. And the contract governs the claim, and the claim is denied. Stellan reads the script. The script says, the prescribed medication has a formulary alternative. Your physician may submit a prior authorization for the brand name medication with clinical documentation of therapeutic failure. Therapeutic failure. The phrase means, the generic made you sick. But the script does not say, the generic made you sick, because the script does not speak human. The script speaks insurance. The third call is a denied emergency room visit. The member went to the emergency room at 2 a.m. with chest pain. The chest pain was evaluated, EKG, blood work, chest x-ray, monitoring. The chest pain was determined to be acid reflux. The claim was denied under the prudent layperson standard. the standard that says an emergency room visit is covered if a prudent layperson would believe the symptoms require emergency care. The denial letter says the symptoms did not meet the prudent layperson threshold. The member, a 57-year-old man with a family history of heart disease, went to the emergency room at 2 a.m. because he had chest pain and his father died of a heart attack at 61, and the chest pain at 2 a.m. in a 57-year-old man whose father died of a heart attack felt like the beginning of the thing that killed his father. The prudent layperson was terrified. The algorithm was not. The sixth call is a woman whose son's insulin pump supplies were denied because the supplier was out of network. The supplier was out of network because the in-network supplier discontinued the specific pump model. And the specific pump model is the one that the son, he's 9, has been using for 3 years, and that the endocrinologist calibrated and that the son has learned to manage. And the management of a 9-year-old's insulin pump is not trivial. And the switch to a new pump model requires recalibration and training and adjustment, and the adjustment period is medically significant. And the mother is explaining this. And Stellan is reading the script. And the script does not have a sentence for a mother explaining that her 9-year-old has learned to live with a machine that keeps him alive, and that the insurance company wants to switch the machine. By the 11th call, Stellan has stopped reading the script, not because he's abandoned the script, because the script has abandoned him. The script does not account for the chest pain that is acid reflux but feels like death. The script does not account for the 9-year-old with the insulin pump. The script does not account for the human content of the calls. The script accounts for the claim content. The human content is the part that the agent absorbs and that the agent carries, and that the agent cannot discharge, because the discharge would require resolution, and the resolution requires an override, and the override requires a supervisor, and the supervisor is managing 12 agents. The 14th call of the day is the call. The customer's name is confidential, but the claim is a denied MRI. The MRI was ordered by a neurologist for recurring migraines. The MRI was denied under Code R 47.12. Service not medically necessary per clinical review. The customer is a 43-year-old woman who has had migraines for 11 years and whose neurologist ordered the MRI because the migraine pattern changed and the change suggested a neurological event, and the neurological event required imaging, and the imaging was denied, because the algorithm determined that the clinical documentation did not meet the threshold for medical necessity, and the threshold was set by the actuary, and the actuary set the threshold based on the probability distribution of neurological events in the 35 to 50 age cohort, and the probability distribution said the MRI was statistically unlikely to reveal a significant finding, and the statistical unlikelihood was the basis for the denial. And the denial was communicated to the customer in a letter that said, "Not medically necessary." And the customer called, and the customer waited through the hold queue, and the customer reached Stellan. And Stellan read the denial, and Stellan could not override the denial, because the system does not allow a claims agent I to override an algorithmic denial. And the override requires a supervisor, and the supervisor is managing 12 other agents, and the supervisor's override queue has 47 pending requests, and the request will be processed in the order received. "What am I supposed to do?" the customer asks. "My doctor says I need this. Your computer says I don't. Who's right, my doctor or your computer?" Stellan follows the script. The script says, "I understand your concern. The determination was made based on the clinical criteria in your policy. You have the right to appeal this decision. I can provide you with the appeal process." The appeal process is: submit a written appeal within 180 days, include the physician's letter of medical necessity, include supporting clinical documentation, wait 30 to 45 days for review, receive a decision. The appeal process is a second system layered on top of the first system. The system that denied the claim and the system that reviews the denial, the bureaucratic architecture of reconsideration that adds 30 to 45 days to the timeline of a woman whose migraines changed and whose neurologist said, "We need to look," and whose insurance company said no, and whose appeal will take 30 to 45 days, during which the looking does not happen, and the not looking is the gap between the doctor's urgency and the insurer's timeline. If you're enjoying this story, hit that like button right now. It takes 1 second, costs nothing, and tells us to keep making stories like this one. Back to the story. Day 3. Colette's claim. 3:17 p.m. Colette's phone rings. She answers, the same answer she's given approximately 48,000 times in 4 years. Thank you for calling Fidelitas Health Insurance. This is Colette. How can I help you? The voice on the other end is her mother. Colette's mother's name is Yvonne Varnham. Yvonne is 63 years old. Yvonne lives in Chesterfield County, south of Richmond. Yvonne has Fidelitas Insurance, not through Colette, through Yvonne's employer, the school district where Yvonne works as an administrative assistant, the job that provides the insurance that covers the medical care that Yvonne needs, and that Yvonne's daughter processes claims for, and that the system does not know and does not care, because the system does not track the relationship between the agent and the claimant, and the relationship is irrelevant to the system. Yvonne's claim: a breast biopsy. The biopsy was performed 3 weeks ago. The mammogram showed a mass. The radiologist flagged it. The oncologist ordered the biopsy. The biopsy was performed. The pathology came back benign. The claim was submitted by the hospital. The claim was denied. Code D14.88. Procedure not consistent with diagnostic findings. The algorithm determined that the mammogram findings did not meet the threshold for biopsy under the clinical pathway, and the clinical pathway is the decision tree that the algorithm follows, and the decision tree said the mass was below the size threshold, and the size threshold is 1.2 centimeters, and Yvonne's mass was 1.1 centimeters, and the 0.1 centimeter difference, 1 millimeter, the width of a mechanical pencil lead, is the difference between approved and denied, and the difference between a covered biopsy and a $3,800 bill. Yvonne does not know she is talking to Colette's queue. Yvonne called the general claims number. The call was routed by the automated system. The automated system routed the call to the next available agent. The next available agent is Colette. The system connected a mother to her daughter. The system did not know. The system does not know relationships. The system knows cues. Mom? Colette, baby, is that you? Mom, you're in my queue. I just called the number on the card. I didn't know I'd get you. Baby, they denied my biopsy. The letter says, not consistent with diagnostic findings. I don't know what that means. The doctor said I needed it. They found something on the mammogram. They did the biopsy. It came back okay. Thank God it came back okay. But now they're saying they won't pay for it? How can they not pay for it? The doctor found something. The doctor said, we need to look. I let them look. And now the insurance says the looking wasn't necessary? Colette pulls up the claim. She pulls it up the way she has pulled up 48,000 claims: system navigation, member ID, claim number, the mechanical sequence of accessing a file in a database. But this file is her mother. This file is Yvonne Varnham. This file is the woman who drove Colette to school and packed her lunches and sat with her when she had the flu and held her hand when the first boyfriend left and co-signed the lease on the first apartment, and who is now a claim number in a system that Colette operates and that Colette understands and that Colette knows from the inside is designed to deny. The denial is correct. By the system's criteria, the denial is correct. The mass was 1.1 centimeters. The threshold is 1.2 centimeters. The algorithm evaluated the mammogram findings against the clinical pathway. The clinical pathway said, below threshold. The algorithm said, deny. The denial is correct the way a calculator is correct. The math is right, the numbers are accurate, the output is the product of the input, and the input is a threshold that was set by an actuary who has never felt a lump in her own breast and who set the threshold at 1.2 centimeters based on the statistical probability of malignancy at various sizes, and the probability at 1.1 centimeters was below the threshold, and the threshold is the line, and the line is the denial, and the denial is correct. But Colette's mother had a mass. Colette's mother had a mass that a radiologist flagged, and that an oncologist biopsied, and that a pathologist examined, and that came back benign. Benign. The mass was not cancer. The biopsy confirmed it. The biopsy that the insurance denied confirmed that the mass was not cancer. The biopsy did exactly what the biopsy was supposed to do. It answered the question. The question was, is this cancer? The answer was, no. And the insurance company's response to the answer is, we won't pay for the question. Mom, I have to process this by the book. I can't. The system won't let me override this. I'm a claims agent. I can't override an algorithmic denial. Baby, I don't understand. You work there. Can't you just... I can't. Mom, I can't. If I override a denial on a family member's claim, I get terminated. It's in the ethics policy. Section 14, conflicts of interest. I'm supposed to transfer you to another agent. I'm supposed to not even be on this call. Then why are you? Because you're my mother, and you're scared, and you called and I answered, and I'm not going to transfer you to a stranger who will read you the script. I'm going to tell you what to do. Listen to me. You need to appeal. The appeal is a letter. The doctor writes it. The doctor explains why the biopsy was necessary regardless of the size threshold. The doctor includes the mammogram report in the clinical notes. The appeal goes to the medical review board, and the medical review board is staffed by physicians, not algorithms. And the physicians will read the notes, and the physicians will see that the mass was flagged by a radiologist who has 20 years of experience, and who flagged it because the mass had irregular margins regardless of the size. And the irregular margins are the clinical indicator that the algorithm doesn't weigh, because the algorithm weighs size and the radiologist weighs shape, and the radiologist was right and the algorithm was wrong. How long? 30 to 45 days. And what do I do about the bill in the meantime? You call the hospital billing department. You tell them the claim is under appeal. They'll put a hold on the bill. The hold lasts until the appeal is resolved. You don't pay. You don't pay anything until the appeal is resolved. Colette, if you can tell me how to beat the denial, if you know the system well enough to tell me exactly what to do, why is the system denying claims in the first place? The cubicle is 25 square feet. The cubicle is too small for the silence that follows the question. The question fills the cubicle and overflows into the adjacent cubicles, and the adjacent agents hear the silence because the walls are 5 feet high, and the silence carries over the walls the way sound carries over the walls, which is to say, completely. Because the system is designed to deny. The system is designed to deny first and approve on appeal. The denial is the default. The approval is the exception. The system processes 4.2 million claims per year. The denial rate is 18.3%. That's 769,000 denied claims. Of those 769,000, approximately 62% are eventually overturned on appeal or resubmission. That's 477,000 claims that are denied and then approved. 477,000 claims that were correct from the beginning and that the system denied anyway, because the denial is the first answer and the approval is the second answer, and the time between the first answer and the second answer is 30 to 45 days, and the 30 to 45 days is the float, the actuarial float, the time during which the insurance company holds the money and earns the interest, and the interest on 477,000 claims across 30 to 45 days is, Mom, it's millions. The denial isn't a mistake. The denial is the product. If Untold Hearts has become part of your week, consider joining the channel membership. A few dollars a month keeps these stories coming. Links are in the description. Now, back to the story. Day 5. The reveal. Friday, 4:15 p.m. The shift ends at 4:30. The calls are still coming. The phone still rings, the queue still fills. The 11 rings still measure the distance between the customer's need and the company's capacity, Stellan tells Colette at her cubicle. The 25-square-foot cubicle. The cubicle that is half the size of a prison cell and that has been Colette's workspace for 4 years. And that was the place where she denied her own mother's claim 3 days ago. My name isn't Simon Darby. My name is Stellan Cope. I'm the CEO of Fidelitas. Colette has her headset around her neck. The headset that she wears for 8 hours a day. The headset that connects her voice to the customer's ears and the customer's distress to her brain. The device that is simultaneously her tool and her burden. You're the CEO. Yes. You heard the call. My mother's call. I heard the call. You heard me tell my own mother that the system is designed to deny. I heard that. And it's true. You know it's true. Everyone on this floor knows it's true. The denial rate isn't an accident. The denial rate is a strategy. The 18.3% is a number that someone in this building chose, not a number that happened, a number that was selected because the number produces a financial outcome. And the financial outcome is the company's margin, and the margin is the distance between what we collect in premiums and what we pay in claims, and the denial rate is one of the tools that manages that distance. What do you need? I need you to change the threshold, not my mother's threshold, all of them. The thresholds that the algorithms use to deny claims are set too tight. They're set at the edge of clinical necessity, not the center. The 1.2 centimeter biopsy threshold. No oncologist in the country would use 1.2 centimeters as the cutoff. The clinical standard is, if the radiologist flags it, biopsy it. The size is one factor. The algorithm made it the only factor. The algorithm needs to weigh what the doctor weighs: shape, margins, density, history, the full picture, not the single number. What else? The performance metric. 47 claims per day for exceeds expectations. You know what 47 claims in an 8-hour shift means? It means 10 minutes and 40 seconds per claim. 10 minutes and 40 seconds to decide whether a human being gets medical care. The metric rewards speed. The metric punishes thoroughness. The metric produces denials because denials are faster than approvals. A denial is a code. An approval requires verification. Verification takes time. Time reduces the count. The count determines the bonus. And the bonus is $380, and the $380 is my rent margin. The metric is a denial machine. Change the metric. What else? Pay us. The claims agents on this floor make $17.20 per hour. We make $17.20 per hour to decide whether people receive medical care. We make less than the barista at the coffee shop on the first floor of this building. The barista makes $18.50. The person who decides whether your mother gets a biopsy makes less than the person who makes your latte. Pay us enough that the quarterly bonus isn't the difference between rent and late rent, and the agents will stop chasing the 47 number and the denials will go down. Because the denials are partly a function of speed, and the speed is a function of the metric, and the metric is a function of the bonus, and the bonus is a function of the wage, and the wage is $17.20. The leadership meeting is Monday. Stellan walks in carrying a letter. The explanation of benefits letter. The letter that Fidelitas sends to every member whose claim has been denied, the letter that contains the denial code and the appeal instructions and the language that the legal department approved and that the customer does not understand. This letter was sent to one of our members, he says. The member had a breast biopsy. The biopsy was ordered by an oncologist after a mammogram found a mass. The biopsy confirmed the mass was benign. Our system denied the claim because the mass was 1.1 centimeters and our threshold is 1.2 centimeters, 1 millimeter. We denied a breast cancer screening over 1 millimeter. The member who received this letter is the mother of one of our claims agents. Our agent had to process her own mother's denial. Our agent sat in a 25-square-foot cubicle and told her own mother that the system denied her claim and that the system is designed to deny. He sets the letter on the table. Our denial rate is 18.3%. The national average is 16.6%. We deny 71,400 more claims per year than the average insurer. Of those denials, 62% are overturned on appeal. That means 477,000 of our denials each year are claims that should have been approved from the start. We deny them. The members appeal. We approve them 30 to 45 days later. We hold the money for 30 to 45 days. We earn interest on the float. The denials aren't mistakes. The denials are a revenue strategy. We are monetizing the delay between a person's medical need and that person's payment. We built a company that profits from the time a mother spends wondering whether her biopsy will be covered. The CFO, a man named Ansel Bray, shifts in his chair. The denial thresholds are actuarially sound. They're based on clinical probability distributions. The denial thresholds are based on math that an actuary performed in this building, while a radiologist performed different math in a hospital. The radiologist's math saved a woman from uncertainty. Our math created the uncertainty. The radiologist flagged a mass because the radiologist saw irregular margins. Our algorithm ignored the margins because our algorithm weighs size. The radiologist was right. Our algorithm was wrong. And our algorithm was wrong 477,000 times last year. Algorithmic denial thresholds. Every clinical pathway is reviewed by a panel of practicing physicians, not actuaries, physicians. The physicians reset the thresholds to match the clinical standard of care. The biopsy threshold eliminated. If a radiologist flags a mass, the biopsy is covered. No size threshold, no algorithmic override of a physician's clinical judgment. The cost, approximately 14,200 additional approved biopsy claims per year, estimated at $54 million. The cost of the 477,000 wrongful denials, the appeals processing, the member attrition, the regulatory penalties, the reputational damage, the J.D. Power ranking of 147th out of 152, $89 million annually. The approvals cost less than the denials. Performance metrics, the 47 claims per day target is eliminated. The new metric is accuracy, the percentage of claims correctly adjudicated on first review. The target, 94% first pass accuracy. The bonus is tied to accuracy, not volume. The bonus increases from $380 to $620 per quarter because the accuracy metric is harder than the volume metric, and the harder metric deserves the higher bonus, and the higher bonus removes the financial pressure to process fast, and the removal of the pressure reduces the denials, and the reduction of the denials is the point. Claims agent compensation, $17.20, becomes $23.50 per hour. The increase reflects the complexity of the work, the clinical judgment, the emotional labor, the 48,000 calls per agent per year, the 10 minutes and 40 seconds that determine whether a person receives medical care. The cost across 640 claims agents, $8.3 million. The cost of the 63% annual turnover, the recruiting, the 2-week training, the productivity ramp, the institutional knowledge lost when an agent leaves, and the replacement agent makes the errors that experience prevents, $5.1 million annually. The net cost of the raise, $3.2 million. The net cost of treating claims agents like the medical decision makers they are, $3.2 million in a company that generates $2.8 billion. Appeal timeline, 30 to 45 days becomes 7 to 10 business days. The acceleration requires additional medical reviewers, 8 new physician reviewers, annual cost $2.4 million. The acceleration also requires the company to stop earning interest on the float. The float income, $12.8 million annually. The float income is the revenue that the company earns by denying claims and holding money during the appeal period. The float income is eliminated because the float income is the monetization of delay, and the delay is the suffering, and the suffering is the thing that Stellan built the company to prevent. One more thing. Stellan picks up the letter. This letter is redesigned. The denial code is translated into plain language. The appeal instructions are simplified to 3 steps. The letter includes the direct phone number of a claims resolution specialist, not the general queue, not the 11-ring hold, a direct line. And every denial letter includes the sentence, "If you believe this denial is incorrect, you are probably right. Call us." Because 62% of the time, they are right. And we should say so. 3 months later. The denial rate is the number that moves first. 18.3% drops to 11.7% in 90 days. The 6.6-point drop represents approximately 277,000 claims that are now approved on first review. 277,000 claims that would have been denied under the old thresholds and that are now approved because the thresholds were reset by physicians, and the physicians set the thresholds at the clinical standard, and the clinical standard says, if the doctor ordered it, there was a reason. The appeal rate drops with the denial rate. Fewer denials means fewer appeals. Fewer appeals means shorter queues. Shorter queues means faster resolution. Faster resolution means the phone rings 4 times instead of 11. The abandonment rate, the percentage of callers who hang up before reaching an agent, drops from 23% to 9%. The difference is 14 percentage points. The difference is 588,000 calls per year that are now answered. 588,000 people who now reach a human instead of hanging up. 588,000 claims that enter the system instead of waiting. Colette's mother's appeal was approved in 6 days, not 30 to 45, 6. The physician reviewer read the radiologist's notes. The physician reviewer saw the irregular margins. The physician reviewer approved the claim. The $3,800 was paid. The bill was resolved. The question, is this cancer, was answered by the biopsy, and the biopsy was paid for, and the answer was no, and the no was the relief, and the relief was 6 days instead of 45. Colette still processes claims. She processes 31 per day now, not 47, 31, the number that the accuracy metric produces when the agent is reading the full clinical file instead of the summary, when the agent is weighing the doctor's notes instead of the algorithm score, when the agent is spending 14 minutes per claim instead of 10 minutes and 40 seconds. The 4 additional minutes are the difference between speed and accuracy. The 4 additional minutes are the difference between a denial and a review. The 4 additional minutes are the time in which a claims agent reads the radiologist's note about irregular margins and sees what the algorithm didn't see and approves the biopsy, and the approval arrives in the member's mailbox instead of the denial, and the member doesn't call and the phone doesn't ring 11 times. The J.D. Power ranking at 90 days, 147th has risen to 89th. 58 places in 90 days. The ranking will continue to rise because the changes are structural. The thresholds, the metrics, the wages, the timelines, and structural changes produce compound improvement the way structural repairs produce compound stability. The claims agents notice the wage first. The paycheck that reflects $23.50 per hour instead of $17.20. The paycheck that changes the budget math the way the boarding pay changed the napkin math. The paycheck that means the quarterly bonus is no longer the difference between rent and late rent. The bonus is still there, $620 instead of $380, tied to accuracy instead of volume. But the bonus is now supplemental, not essential. The bonus is the extra, not the margin. The agents no longer chase 47 claims because 47 is no longer the number that keeps the lights on. The number that keeps the lights on is $23.50 per hour, and $23.50 per hour is the rate at which an insurance company says the person making the decision is worth more than the barista making the latte. Not because the barista is worth less. The barista is also underpaid, but because the decision that a claims agent makes is a medical decision disguised as an administrative one, and medical decisions deserve medical compensation. The accuracy rate is the number the industry watches. First pass accuracy under the old system, the 47 claims per day, 10 minutes and 40 seconds system, was 71%. First pass accuracy under the new system, the 31 claims per day, 14-minute system, is 91% at 90 days, 20 points. 20 points means 840,000 fewer claims requiring reprocessing per year, 840,000 fewer calls, 840,000 fewer letters, 840,000 fewer moments in which a person opens an envelope and reads the word denied and feels the specific cold uncertainty that the word produces, the uncertainty of a person who purchased protection and who has been told that the protection does not apply. The turnover rate drops from 63% to 34%, 29 points. The agents who stay are the agents who know the system, the agents who have memorized the codes and the pathways and the nuances that new agents learn over months and that experienced agents apply in seconds. The institutional knowledge stays. The knowledge staying means the accuracy stays. The accuracy staying means the denials stay down. The denials staying down means the phone rings 4 times instead of 11. The system is a circle. Pay the agents, keep the knowledge, keep the accuracy, reduce the denials, reduce the calls, reduce the hold time, improve the satisfaction, improve the ranking. The circle begins with the wage. The wage is the first domino. The explanation of benefits letter is different now. The letter is written in plain language. The denial code is translated. The appeal instructions are 3 steps. The letter includes the sentence that Stellan added: "If you believe this denial is incorrect, you are probably right. Call us." The sentence is not legal language. The sentence is not institutional language. The sentence is human language, the language of a company that has decided to speak to its members the way Georgiana spoke to the children in the nurse's office. The person in front of you is not a chart. The person in front of you is a person. Colette keeps the denial letter, her mother's denial letter, the original, the one with the code D14.88 and the threshold in the 1 millimeter difference. She keeps it in her desk drawer. She keeps it the way the other workers keep the sleeping bag and the water jug and the flat pillow, as the artifact of the before, the document that proves what the system did and what the system became. The letter is the before. The 6-day approval is the after. The distance between them is 1 millimeter, and the entire difference between a system that denies first and a system that listens first. Thank you for watching this story. If it reminded you that the person who answers the claims call deserves more than $17.20 and 10 minutes to decide your future, share it. Subscribe to Untold Hearts for more stories about the distance between the policy and the person. Tell us in the comments, have you ever had a claim denied that you knew should have been approved?